it to you automatically without this letting you. Let's say that I am, for right now, just struggling with this technology. This internet is just crashing on me, dying, right?
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, this internet is awesome.
Oh,
Freaking fantastic.
It's fantastic. All of that is using what kind of technique? Starts with an S. Sarcasm, right? Sarcasm is a type of verbal irony. It's a type of irony that you say something and you know you're saying it to be sarcastic, but you know you totally mean the opposite thing of what's happening.
Most times there's that one dumb guy that takes everything you say was really.
Sometimes there are those people that take it literally, but it's not meant to be taken literally. It's meant to be taken as sort of a jest, sort of what's happening, right? So you need to know that verbal irony is a character saying. They have to specifically say. They cannot think it. It cannot be a situation. It has to be explicitly said out of a character's mouth. Now, this is where you come into the opposite.
Oh my god, I love your skirt. Where did you get it? It was my mom from Ace. Vintage. So adorable. Thanks. That is the ugliest skirt I've ever seen. Oh my god.
So what kind of irony was going on right there? Tell me, walk it first. It was verbal. Walk me through why it was verbal irony.
Because she was being sarcastic.
Walk me through why it was verbal irony.
she was like, oh, that's a cool skirt you got there. Even though she meant it was the complete opposite.
No one cares, maybe.
Walk me through why is it verbal irony?
Because they were verbally talking.
Because it was like,
He said we on.
because it was like, she was talking to the girl at her face and saying it was like good and everything, and then she turns to the other girl and says that's like the worst skirt ever.
It's verbal because she's saying it.
Oh, thank you.
So now,
No, really?
catch the second part of this. Dramatic irony is when the reader understands more about the events of a story than a character. So this is not the same thing as situational. This is totally different. This is like a mix of something else going on. You see this a lot in plays. You see this a lot happening in movies. Dramatic irony is when you guys, on the outside, the reader, the viewer, whoever, you guys know there's something going on further in the plot. There's something else that's going to happen, some event, some mishap, and you guys know it, but the character doesn't. The character is living in La La Land doing their own thing. When the reader understands more of the events of a story than a character, that's what you need to have for dramatic irony. When the reader understands more of the events of a story than a character, you know something basically that the character does not. Okay? So for example,
They're gonna die.
in the easiest example we can give, Romeo and Juliet. Everybody knows Romeo and Juliet. Everybody knows what happens at the end of Romeo and Juliet. They kill each other, right? They die. Now,
Spoiler alert.
here's what happens. In the play, Thomas, in the play, we know that Juliet thinks that Romeo is going to die somehow in some tragic way, and the only thing that she can do before he even dies in this fight is kill herself. She can't do it. She can't live without it. Okay? But she doesn't kill herself. She just says, you know what? Maybe I should go into a deep sleep. And that will turn him away. So she goes to this potion person, gets potion that puts her to sleep. Okay? Now Romeo doesn't know that she's asleep, but who does?
Us.
Us, the reader. The readers know that she's asleep, she's cool. And then all of a sudden Romeo sees her, and what does Romeo think?
She dead.
She's dead. Obviously she's dead, right? So, because she's dead, what does he actually do?
Kill himself.
He actually kills himself. She wakes up, finds that he's killed himself, basically. And so what does she do?
She kills her.
Kills herself.
I mean, they're
He did it, right?
I mean, they're trying to stab themselves.
So you, as the reader, understand more what's going on. Okay?
It's like, don't go in the sun.
And then finally, you have situational irony. Sometimes situational can be the easiest to catch, sometimes it can be the hardest to catch. Situational irony happens when what is supposed to happen, what you think should happen, what is expected, and then takes it in an opposite way.
I hate when something like that happens.
So in other words, this is where I hope to God Finding Nemo comes into play. So, let's say we have this clip of Finding Nemo here.
Is this where we meet his teacher? Yeah, he's out of the anemone. Yeah, shocking. I know. Right? Marlin.
Hey, you're a clownfish. You're funny, right? Hey, tell us a joke.
Well, actually, that's a common misconception. Clownfish are no funnier than any other fish.
Come on, clown.
Yeah, do something funny. Yeah. I know I'm joking. There's a mollusk, see, and he walks up to a sea, well, he doesn't walk, swims. Well, actually, the mollusk is in the movie. He's in one place. And then the sea cucumber, well, I mixed it up. There was a mollusk and a sea cucumber. None of them were walking, so forget that.
Sheldon, get out of Mr. Johansson's yard now! Right, you kid. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Come aboard, explorers!
Okay, so there are two instances of situational irony happening in that moment. The first and the obvious one was what?
Hey, tell us a joke.
Tell us a joke. You are a clownfish. You should be funny. Tell us a joke. And so he starts telling the joke, and what do we realize? He's not funny. He's horrible. So, because he's not funny, he's horrible, we understand him to be horrible. He can't obviously be a clownfish, right? Because clownfish are supposed to be funny. But he is a clownfish. Common misconception. Okay? What's the second one, Nilo? What's the second situational ironic thing going on? What else happens literally 10 seconds later? He starts telling the joke and he stops because something happens.
The kids are playing in
Okay, so they're playing in the yard, but why is that ironic?
Because you think the woman's going to get them in trouble, but they hide behind her and it turns into a fight.
Okay, all right. So this fish has eyes on one side. And what happens is they're playing in the yard, and the lady comes up, and she says, quit playing in the yard, which first off, she doesn't have a yard. They're literally playing over top of her. Turns herself sideways to try to find them. And what do the kids do being kids?
Hide behind her.
Hide on the other side, and she is just circling.
I would just turn the other way.
Swimming. So it's ironic that this fish can't even be able to see them. She can't even be able to track them. So that is situational irony in itself.